Oklahoma Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, Tulsa's source for great gardens, southwoodgardencenter.com. And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing. Today on the Best of Oklahoma Gardening, host Casey Hentges has some great techniques to assist you with your next garden project. To make sure that the construction looks like the drawings and all of the appropriate angles are right. We'll also visit with a group of undergraduate students who spent their last summer performing their own horticultural research as part of an exciting program that's available at Oklahoma State University.
We are back here in the concept garden, and we are in the process of figuring out exactly where we need to build our permanent raised beds in this square area. We've got our portable garden tables already placed, but like I said, those are portable. Now it's time to build permanent raised beds. For this, we're going to use a process called Trilateration, and we worked with Dr. Lou Anella's Applied Landscape Planning class, and Tyler Troppman is a student that is in that class. Tyler, can you explain Trilateration to us?
Yeah, Casey, so for this class, we took Trilateration and your design and plugged it into Computer-Assisted Design Program, which is AutoCAD for short, and a lot of professionals use this. So we identified two reference points that correspond with the actual garden. In our class, we chose the northwest corner as point A and the southwest corner as point B. Whenever you're stretching out your tape, you want to make sure that your path is free of obstacles. That way you get an accurate measurement. Then on the computer, we identified the distance from the corners of each of the garden beds we wanted to build to both reference points. This gave us two measurements for each point, one from point A and one from point B. We then take these measurements out in the field. So our first point, we identified the distance as 14.93 feet from our reference point A. And then we took a second measuring tape and measured the distance from point B, which was 24.14 feet. The point at which these two distances cross is the first point for our garden bed. So then we have 8 points to identify the inside lines of our octagon. After we've located all the points in the garden, we can use a string to identify the straight lines connecting them to make our octagon. And then each of these lines will be what we build our raised beds off of. We can see that the octagon is centered in the square, so we know our beds will be centered also. So you may have noticed that we use tenths of feet instead of inches. That's because it's much easier to convert tenths of feet than it is to convert inches. So you really just want to make sure you don't get your measuring tape flipped over when you're doing your measurements.
Because there's both on both sides.
Yeah, there's one on each side. So you have tenths on one side and inches on the other.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing this,
No problem,
Tyler.
Casey. Thanks for having me.
About trilateration using AutoCAD and how to transfer those measurements out into the garden, but as most homeowners, you probably don't have AutoCAD on your computer. So how are we going to do that just for a home project on the weekend? You will first want to get some graph paper. That's going to help you draw your plan to scale. Now, an octagon is a pretty complicated layout, so you might start with just a square first of all. So we have our plan drawn on graph paper here, and that will help you with scale. We also just have a printout that we know is to scale. And what you're going to do once you've drawn it to scale is you'll just use a ruler to measure those points. Your reference point A to the point of the raised bed that you want to identify. So you'll measure here with your ruler, and we come up with a distance of 2 7/8. So that is our first A measurement. A, point 1 is 2 7/8. Now from the distance of B to that same point, we're going to measure a distance of 4, and it looks like 6/8. Now if we converted this on a scale, our scale is 2 inches equals 10 feet, we know that we can do our math here. 2 inches is 10 feet, and 7/8 of an inch will be 7 divided by 8, and 1 inch is 5 feet, and we're going to multiply that decimal times 5, and that gives us 4.378. Adding those together, we come up with a distance of 4.38. On our second measurement, we had 4 6/8. So again, using our scale, we know that 2 inches equals 10 feet. So here we're looking at 20, and then using our 6/8, 6 divided by 8. Again, that's on a 1 inch marker, so we're going to do that times 5. So we're going to add 3 feet and 75 hundredths. So that gives us 23.75 as our two measurements from distance A and distance B. So if you look at what we came up with, our first mark of 14.38 and 23.75, we're not too far off our measurements that we came up with on AutoCAD of 14.93 and 24.14. There might be a little bit of a margin of error when you compare AutoCAD to using a ruler, because AutoCAD is more accurate. So again, basically what we've done is we've just used a ruler to identify those distances, the measurements from our reference point A and B to the points that we want to identify in our octagon and in our plan. Now we've taken those measurements and then we've transferred them using the scale out into the garden to make sure that our plan is exactly how we want it. There are several reasons why you might want to identify a right angle. Perhaps you're building a raised bed, building a fence, or building a deck. It's a pretty simple method that we're going to use here called the 3-4-5 method. And in order to do that, we're going to need some string, a tape measure, and 3 pins. So we're going to first put our first pin right here at the corner where we want our 90-degree angle. At that point, we're going to measure a distance of 3 feet from that pin. So we've got our measurement of 3 feet. We're going to put our first pin at the 3-foot marker, and we're then going to draw a string to that point. And we want to make sure that we tie a tight knot there to keep that string tight. Then we're going to pull that string back to that corner pin. At this point, we're going to take our tape measure and go out 4 feet on the next leg. So our second pin we'll put at that 4-foot mark. And again, we'll draw our string from the corner to that pin. You then want to measure the distance between your two legs, so your second and your third pin that you put in. And that distance should equal 5 feet. If it's more or less, you might need to move one of those points to make sure that that hypotenuse is 5 feet. So here we have 3, 4, and 5, and therefore we know that this is a square corner. And we'll go ahead and make our right triangle just like this. At this point, knowing that this is a right triangle, what we can do then is take our string and run it along those 2 pins, and you just want to touch them. And we can run this as long as we want, and we know that we're drawing a straight line and that we have a right corner. Now this is called the 3, 4, 5 method. You could actually double those numbers and make it the 6, 8, 10 method if you were building something larger and wanted to have better accuracy. Really, this is using the Pythagorean theorem. You might remember a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I think I might owe my math teacher an apology because I told her I'd never need to know this in real life. Today joining us is Dr. Charles Fontanier, who is an assistant professor in the Horticulture and Landscape Architecture department. And Dr. Fontanier started a new internship program for undergraduates this past summer. Could you tell us a little bit about that program?
Sure thing, Casey. The program is called the Urban Horticulture Research and Extension Experience for Undergraduates. And what I really want to highlight is the word experience in that. It's part of a USDA funded project that allows us to bring in undergraduate students and teach them about research and teach them about extension, all under the umbrella of horticulture in our department. Yep.
You had about 10 students this past summer, and they did quite an array of different projects. And can you tell us about, what did that program involve, specifically their day-to-day experience?
The students came from all over the state, and they were housed here on campus in one of the dormitories, and their day-to-day experience varied depending on which instructor or which faculty mentor they were assigned to. And so some of them might have spent their daily activities in a more of a laboratory setting. Some would be out more in a field setting, but basically they get to work hand in hand with one of our research professors.
So the research varies, is that?
That's right. So we had a wide range of students. Mm-hmm. Some had a fair amount of research coming in, and some had never really done any kind of research. And so the projects were chosen to match up with their skill set and their interests. And because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is help students recognize that they can do research if they want to, and that opportunity is out there. And not only that, they can do research that's very helpful to people directly and has huge impact on people locally here in Oklahoma, as well as across the world if they want to.
So what are some of the other perks of this internship program for somebody who might be applying?
The students that were here all received a weekly stipend. And so it can be treated like a summer job if you want to, but it's more than that. It's really truly meant to be kind of an internship. So some of the students also would use that for class credit if they needed it. Housing was provided for them free of charge on campus, as well as at least one meal a week. We would get together and have kind of a working lunch, a brown bag lunch, where we'd talk about what we had done each week. And so some meals would be provided, and then we also had a lot of group activities where we'd go on field trips and take a look at horticulture in action. And those are always fun and kind of what sets this apart from some of the other research experiences that are out there.
All right, well, I know we had a chance to take a look at some of the research that these students were doing, so we're going to take a look at that now.
So, hi, I'm Alyssa Ely. I'm from North Texas on Coppell, and I'm a student here at OSU, so I'm going to be a senior. I'm doing a drought stress project comparing a standard putting green to 2 putting greens that were bred at OSU. I've talked to some of the mentors in the program too, and they said it was a good introduction on how, like grad school and how to do research if you don't have experience with it. So.
Yeah, my name is Mason McLemore, and I am from the University of Oklahoma. I'm a senior majoring in plant biology with a concentration in biotechnology and a minor in chemistry. In this research, we're taking a look at compounds found within lettuce. My lab partner and I myself will be looking at bitter compounds called sequetropine lactones that are found within this lettuce. We're going to end up trying to see if there's a correlation between the taste of lettuce and the sugars and compounds that we're finding in them. I think what's most important for me is the ability to use the equipment needed to identify these compounds, and not only that, but this is my first time developing procedures in an actual research setting. The REU program is really nice because it is a paid internship. Actually, with the financial situation I'm in, for example, I wouldn't be able to end up doing this kind of program without that.
My name is Darren Blanchard, and I'm originally from Mounds, Oklahoma, and attend Oklahoma State University studying horticulture, and I graduate this fall. We are looking at the nutrient content of lettuces, field grown versus hydroponic. When looking over the guidelines for the program, I felt like it was tailor-made for what I was wanting to do, because I do have aspirations to attend graduate school, and it allowed me to work with some of the graduate professors here at OSU, and able to work under them and kind of pick their brain for a 10-week period and see their expertise and their knowledge in action. One of the biggest incentives I felt like was the student farm, and because a lot of people nowadays have not grown their own vegetables, and that was a big learning environment that I wanted to participate in.
All right, I'm Lindsay Olson. I'm from Stillwater, Oklahoma. I'm a junior here at OSU. My major is mathematics with the option for secondary education and a minor in Russian language and literature. Me and another intern are working under Dr. Shelley Mitchell. It's kind of the extension part of this urban horticulture internship. So while the other ones, like I said, are doing research, we are strictly working with the youth and some adults, but the internship altogether I think is for anybody. They took me, so I guess it is. You learn a lot. They're going to teach you everything you really need to know that they're trying to teach, so I mean, you don't have to have a background in it.
I'm an ag education major, so I really wanted some experience working with kids of all ages. I want to be able to teach children about agriculture in all areas of life. I've never really had a lot of hands-on application, so I've gained a lot of that working with kids from Plants and Bugs Camp, Camp Turf, Unidos, special needs kids, and so it's been a really great learning opportunity.
I'm Tori Lewis. I'm from North Little Rock, Arkansas. I go to Langston University, and I'll be a sophomore next fall. I'm doing nitrogen fertilizer analysis on Bermuda grass. Basically what we're doing, we're trying to figure out a fertility plan in the outcome of the project. But I'm going to be taking away a lot of research information and how to conduct all the research the correct way and how to set up research, everything that has to do with research basically. We've been on a lot of field trips. Basically we go to places that have to do with horticulture and they higher scale of what we're doing. We went to the Noble Research Foundation. I thought that was really cool. A lot of people here have the same interests as me, so we all bond really well, hang out from time to time when we're not studying or doing research. So,
I'm Matt Beartrack. I'm an OSU horticultural science major, a junior, and I'm studying LED lighting effects on leafy greens, specifically lettuce, basil, and chard. And I have blue lights, a combination of red and blue lights, and then just sunlight. We're going to be testing a few things, but particularly nitrate values, overall health, how healthy these plants actually are for you to eat. I really wanted to learn more about greenhouse work and whether or not I want to go to grad school, and I think it's been a really good experience. The mentor relationship, it's good because you have them at your disposal. Any questions you have, Dr. Dunn can pretty much answer, and like I say, he's a wealth of knowledge as far as research goes.
Well, my name is Reba McCarty. I'm from Kellyville, Oklahoma, and I'm a senior at Oklahoma State University, and my major is agriculture education with an option in horticulture. My project is the effects of glow-in-the-dark paint on petite peace lilies and the effects and how that affects their growth rate and photosynthesis. With my classes, I just had a brief glimpse of some of horticulture practices, and here I get to really get some hands-on experience and really get to know more about the horticulture field as a whole. Also, every Monday we do a 3-minute thesis, which we get to go and explain to our fellow students what we did the previous week before and kind of where we're at. Because with those 3 MTs, I'm getting to see my fellow students and their experiences, and so they're transferring their mentors' knowledge to our knowledge, and so I'm getting to just see the overall aspect of horticulture.
Hi, my name is Elisa Sims, and I am from Kiefer, Oklahoma. I attend Langston University, and I'm pursuing a degree in agricultural business.
I'm Joel Cleaver, and I'm from Corn, Oklahoma, and I'm going to Southwestern Oklahoma State University, and I'll be a senior, majoring in biology. So we're comparing paper mulch, plastic mulch, and then bare soil, and we're mainly looking at how it affects the yield. I'm doing tomatoes.
And I'm doing okra.
I needed a summer job, and since I'm not really sure what I want to do in the future, this kind of gives me the experience and lets me see other aspects of like growing plants and stuff that I didn't know about. Since I'm away from home, having somewhere to live, yeah, it just all worked out.
Well, Dr. B and Linda, they're awesome, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to work with them this summer. I'd just rather be out here than be in a lab or be in the greenhouse. I'd rather be out here and actually experiencing Mother Nature and how she reacts to us and how we react to her.
So when we filled out the application, we ranked different things, like from 1 to 10, I think, on what we most were interested in. And this was my first choice because I enjoy the hands-on part and wanted to know how to grow things better.
Apply.
If you're at all interested in horticulture, I'd say go for it because it's not just one thing you're focused on. We've got to go see a whole bunch of different places, and you get a lot of experience.
You'll never know where you'll end up after this. So yeah, I've met a lot of interesting people and all different sorts of areas across of Oklahoma, so it's been a pleasure.
So Charles, after they finished their 10 weeks, I mean, this was some fantastic research that they did. What happened with that research?
So at the end of our 10 weeks, we held a research symposium, and this was the 10 students all got to get up in front of their peers and a few of our faculty in our department and present their research. And from there, we selected the top students' presentations, and they were allowed to then go on and present their findings at a regional scientific meeting. And this year we're planning to send 5 of those students to those meetings.
Wow. That's a fantastic opportunity for these students. So what's the plan for this coming season? Are you going to be providing this program again, and how does somebody apply?
Right, so we're hoping to get this thing off and running mid-May again through July of 2019. Applications are open right now, and we're looking to have a deadline in mid-February for final applications.
All right, can anybody apply, or what are the requirements for those applicants?
So the only requirement is that you are 18 or older and enrolled in either a 2- or 4-year college,
Doesn't have to be in Oklahoma?
It doesn't have to be in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And like I said, it doesn't have to be a 4-year institution. It can be a 2-year, and it doesn't have to be in horticulture. It doesn't have to be in agriculture. We just want someone who is interested in the idea of research or horticulture or any kind of biological type of system. So there's more information on our department website, as well as there is a online application available for them as well.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Fontanier, for sharing this with us.
Thank you, Casey.
There are lots of great horticultural events this time of year. Be sure and consider these activities when you're making your plans for the weeks ahead. Next week, we'll be revisiting a few of our favorite segments from our tour of gardening in Northwest Oklahoma. We'll look at soils, plants, and beautiful gardens, as well as battle winds and do a little shopping. You won't want to miss the adventure and more of the best TV you'll grow to love. To find out more information about show topics, as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure and visit our website, oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. And we always have great information, answers to questions, photos, and gardening discussions on your favorite social media as well. Join in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find this entire show and other recent shows, as well as individual segments on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And tune in to our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel to watch segments from previous hosts. Oklahoma Gardening is produced by the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University. The Botanic Garden at OSU is home to our studio gardens, and we encourage you to come visit this beautiful Stillwater jewel. We wish to thank our generous underwriters, Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Additional support is provided by Pond Pro Shops, Greenleaf Nursery and the Garden Debut Plants, and the Oklahoma Horticultural Society.